I've been thinking it is summer now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very easy to say, just go play with your electronics, go watch TV, go whatever. But we all know that's not the best way to parent.
Mm-hmm.
So the how do I establish boundaries for screen time without constant battles?
Oh,
Yeah, that's the hard part. That stipulation
you're
is
not gonna
very
like my
hard.
answer.
Okay, let's hear it.
I don't have any rules about screen time.
Oh, okay.
I've
There you
got
go.
none. I've got no screen time rules. And much like the other situation, it all depends on your kid. It all completely depends on your kid's habit, how glued to the screen he is. The most rule I have is if I come down and I know Sam's been watching YouTube for like an hour in the morning, I'm like, dude, that's you becoming a
Take a break.
couch potato. Why don't you get up? Oh yeah, I was gonna turn it off after this one, and I just kept going. Okay, then yeah, let's turn it off after this. Let's go do something. And that
Yeah.
sometimes works for me. What I have found is, and this again, you just my experience alone, is we've never been super restrictive on the stuff that he does. Like we're more restrictive over content than we are of the screen itself, because I don't believe all screen time's created equal. I think,
Oh yeah, no.
oh
That
yeah,
is I love that you said that, because sometimes
hmm
what we'll do instead of taking away the screen altogether is we'll say, okay, let's switch to educational mode. You
yeah,
can have screen time, but it needs to be educational. And we have a rather broad interpretation of that. So like
hmm
we'll be like, okay, educational time, and they'll go watch some of the more educational YouTubers like
yeah.
Mark Rober,
Mark
for
Rober,
instance. Mark
great.
Rober, Zach Builds. I don't know if
Yes,
you're
I
so
love Zach builds.
yeah.
Yeah,
So they've been watching those lately. Or our youngest will go turn on Wildcrats, for
yeah,
instance, something like that. And so that's a way to get more quality out of the screen time than the mindless other stuff that they could be doing.
yeah.
But my wife actually shared something with me, and I don't know if she's implemented it or not. I need to actually talk to her. I don't think she has, because I haven't heard the kids mention it. But she saw a post on one of the social medias where this parent says, "Look, here's the checklist. You have unlimited screen time if you do the checklist first." And so on the checklist is like, make your bed,
hmm
read for half an hour, and just a few different things. So whatever it is, you could say, okay, do these things first, then go ham, do whatever.
Yeah,
Um, and so that at least structures it out a bit to where, number one, it's fostering responsibility,
hmm
and it's also putting how much screen time on them, that
yeah,
if they can get it done efficiently, then they can have a lot of screen time. If they him and they haw and they drag their feet, they don't get much screen time. And
yeah,
so I think that's a great way to approach it, in saying, hey, you can have the screen time, just these are the prerequisites. um,
yeah.
One of the other things is devices. A lot of devices will let you say, put a limit on the
Mhm.
screen time. So, like, my kids have what I consider a pretty generous allotment of 3 hours for Steam.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, 3 hours, that's your Steam time. Go do something else, please.
hmm
Um, and so, 3 hours a day is, for a lot of people that are very anti-screen, they're like, that is way too much. And then
Yeah.
there's other people that are like, they have a limit. And so
Yeah.
you got to do what works for your family and for your kids. Because
hmm
at least personally, we've noticed that when we pull them away from some of the mindless screen time, they have less behavioral issues
Yeah.
when we take it away for the day, when it's time to pack it up. uh,
hmm
because they have those withdrawals from not getting those dopamine hits.
Yeah.
um or I think that's, anyway,
I think that's
depending
right.
on the content, I think it's dopamine. Anyway, from
Yeah.
the addictive chemical that their brain is releasing.
Yeah.
Um, so
We the way we usually do it, we have a handful of I'd say we don't have any rules. We have a handful of rules. I prefer that he doesn't watch react videos because I find them to be mindless. That's a me thing that I'm pushing on him, but like just watching other people talk about what other people did is drives me bonkers. So I'm like, find something constructive if you're going to watch YouTube. If he has friends over, so this is a little bit different. Maybe this is a little different because I have an only child. So he's by himself a lot of the time. There's not a lot of kids running around our neighborhood either, so it's kind of difficult
yeah,
for him. But if he has friends over, no screens for like 2+ hours. Like he's got friends over. Let's do things with our friends. Let's go outside. Let's play Legos. Let's do something like that. After 2 hours, it's usually not too long when their parents are going to come get them anyway. So they're like, you guys can play Mario Kart or whatever for a little while, and that's fine. But what I found with him is when he was really young, we established like, I'm okay with you using this stuff, but if I need you to do something else, the amount that you're going to get to do depends on how much pushback I'm getting when I need you to change gears. Like
yep,
if you start fighting me and it becomes like a big deal, there'll be a lot less of this because I know that you've got that impulse control where it becomes more of an addictive behavior. Like I take it away and you can't function unless you get it back. He's never been that way. So like if he's playing the Switch and I say, Sam, let's go Target and look around or something. Let's get out of here. Okay, and he's not always got to buy anything. He's one of those kids too. We can just go look at stuff. And he says, "Can you take a picture of this for my Christmas list?" Sure, bud. And we can leave. There's no tantrums or anything. He's got really good handle on himself with that kind of stuff. So it makes a difference. But yeah, like in the summer it is harder, but we don't make a big deal out of it. And a lot of times when he has friends over, or I mean, we went camping recently with a bunch of our buddies, and Sam plays games. Like we don't restrict it. Like I said, just he plays it when he wakes up in the morning. It's fine during the weekday. If he finishes homework, he can play. But one of the kids I was there with, he was like 9, same age as Sam. And we're walking around, and I'm like, dude, you look kind of down today. It's a Saturday. He says, yeah, I don't get to play my Switch today because we're at camp. And I usually get up on Saturday. I can play it at 7:30 to 10 o'clock, but I don't get to do it today. I said, but you think of all the friends you've got here. I know, but it's my only day that I get to play the Switch, and I can't today. And I was like, that's a whole different perspective on the limitations. Because he can't ever play it, he can't even enjoy the time that he's got that is a special day
yeah,
because it's taking him from the thing. And it's not dissimilar from a kid I knew when I was young who wasn't allowed to have candy at home, but he would come to my house and just eat every bit
gorge
of it.
on it.
Because we had a candy jar and I would go get a piece every now and then because it was available to me. It wasn't special. It was just there. For him, candy was a forbidden fruit. And he would eat all of our candy out of the jar. My mom would come be like, what? Where did it go? Did you eat all of it? Yes, ma'am. you know? And it's like restriction almost breeds a desire to do more of it where you can. And also he
Well, and
wouldn't
that,
stay home very often because he could get what he wanted at his friends' houses. So he
yeah,
wouldn't home was not safe, comfortable where he wanted to be.
yeah. Well, and that's such a common story in general. These people who come from hyper restrictive families that just go completely off the deep end when they get a
Mhm.
small taste of freedom as an early adult,
Yeah.
and because they're never taught to moderate anything
Yeah.
at
They've
all,
had
and it's
external moderation factors in their parents. So they've
yeah,
never learned to internally deal with this stuff. So they just go nuts.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. I had some friends as teenagers that I went to church with that their parents limited
Oh yeah.
everything, and
Yeah.
several of their kids they they went off the deep end. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. There's
like
there's a lot of alcohol, a lot of drugs, a lot of teen pregnancy as soon as they got to college. And it's like, what did you guys do? But
yeah,
those parents would look at my parents and think they were crazy for letting us do what we did, but
yep.
then I didn't have those problems.
So I fully understand the desire to protect your kids from bad choices,
Mhm.
but if you don't let them make any choices, then they don't know how to make choices.
Yeah, they have to
So,
learn.
yeah. Well, and it's kind of like with my kids being homeschooled. Um, I I wish they took more tests,
Yeah.
and it's not because I think they need more tests. It's because testing is a skill,
Yeah.
and it's something that when they get to college, when they've got to take tests, I worry.
Mhm.
So we'll see. But yeah, in general, if you don't expose your kids to something, when they get exposed, they won't know how to react.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
100%. I just didn't come from a lot of rule making. My parents weren't rule makers, their parents weren't rule makers, so I don't know how to do it. And we were and unfortunately for me, I was just a good kid by nature. I didn't like being in trouble, and my son's the same way. He doesn't like being in trouble. He inherited that from me and his mom. So like I don't have to establish a lot of rules because he's not always trying to get into mess. Um and two, like when you're a parent, you kind of have to change strategies as they age. Like you got to do
hmm
different things. When they're little, you're kind of telling them what to do all the time. Then as they get older, you kind of let them get into more like I let my kid use my pocket knife tonight and he's 10. I was whittling wood at 6, but I'm like still nervous about him using a pocket knife. But he's got to do it. He's got to do it. So I had to just really stop catastrophizing for a second. If he cuts himself, we'll handle it. No big deal. He didn't. He did great. But then like as they get to teenage years, your voice is diminished a lot. And really only thing you can do is kind of guide their decisions and help them think through stuff. Like, you really think that going to that party is going to be like, I mean, you know who's going to be there. You still want to go. I'll let you go. You just text me when you want to pick me up. But I want you to just think about, what's going to happen. What is your strategy if somebody does this or
Yeah,
that,
work through
and
scenarios with them so that they've already got a game plan.
yeah, and it's not like I want to build additional anxiety. It's just I've had experience and I want them to be like, okay, when you go, if this is something that happens or you get uncomfortable, you let me know. We'll discreetly pick you up. I'll tell them your grandma died or something. We'll make something. You know what I mean? Like,
Died, your grandma's died.
why is your grandma dying all the time? I don't.
But some of them were biological, some of them were symbolic grandparents.
Yeah, my family's weird.
Hey, just because I have more branches on my family tree doesn't mean it's less of a tree than yours, okay?
Yeah, it's
Uh,
the bottom line. I think we've learned tonight. The theme has been that kids are hard, and everything
yeah,
is hard, and there's no answers. You can't min max your children. You can, you can cook with them. You can shop with. You can go do all kinds of crazy stuff with them when they're little, and say no screens ever, and they will still find ways to do things you don't approve of. It's just gonna it.
yeah.
So just be a part of their life. Don't try to deny them their life the whole time they're growing up. Be a part of it.
Just remember, it could always be worse. You could be your own grandpa.